Go live?
נכון, alright.
I wonder if anyone is hearing. Does anyone hear me in the planet? A. Ah, okay, there's a huge delay. Gotcha. Okay. So you're on the comments, on the chat? Yeah. Okay. So this is the first live stream that I do, which is not bad at all. First, I want to thank these two people that you can't see. Can you see? See her down there? That's Sharon and that's Yoel. And that's Jerry, the dog, over here. They helped me a shit ton with. Can you say shit in live stream? Maybe, I don't know. They helped me a lot with this whole setup and this whole thing. So so thank you guys very much. And Yoel behind me, he's gonna be in the chat room, probably either answering questions or just telling me if there's cool questions I need to address at any point. I just want to make sure that everyone hears everything. So Yoel, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me from the live stream? Okay.
It's all good. Someone asked what's your favorite time signature, by the way.
Oh, that's easy. That's very easy. It's 6/4, hands down. Okay, let's see if everyone can hear the song. Let's see if the song is working and everyone can hear it. So I guess Yoel, tell me if the song is working. And I will just embarrassingly wait till Yoel tells me if he hears the song.
Yeah.
Okay. So Yoel hears the song. That's amazing. So I guess we're gonna start, which means I'm gonna do the fancy split. Opa. Nice. Now, the first thing I'll do is before I show you everything I found for the song, which is a lot, I'll briefly just touch up on just even how do I even approach doing this kind of thing. So this is one nice. This is like a time-consuming video live. Oops. Even live I have typos. So usually when I try to analyze any of these kind of things, there's two main things that I there's first of all the fact that I've been listening to Meshuggah and I know the band and I know their music and I know and I've analyzed a bunch of their stuff. Kind of like I have their I know their style and their tendencies, kind of. So when I approach a song like this or any other Meshuggah song, I have, even before I hear it, I have a very, very clear approach on what am I looking for. So I'm probably not looking for like odd time signatures, just because I'm not used to hearing that from them. So it probably won't be the case anyway. So I'm probably looking for some kind of manipulation over 4/4. I know that the backbeat is probably there on beats 2 and 4 or on beat 3 if it's in halftime. And I use that information to just kind of like focus my listening in. So when I listen to the song, I know what to look for, kind of. So if some patterns are short enough and small enough for me to just hear it and kind of like I can probably figure it out kind of quickly. Let's say the pattern from Spasm, the first one, which is in 7/4, and it's kind of clear, and it's not too hard to understand it, kind of. But obviously their patterns get way longer, so with the longer ones it kind of takes it takes longer to hear it, obviously. But because I know their tendency of manipulate, of how they manipulate the 4/4, usually that's kind of what I do, what I use to find those cycles. So first thing I find is the probably the subdivision. So if is it 16th notes or triplets, and it's probably one of those because that's usually what they use. And after that, I just start listening to the thing and like writing it down in any way that I find appropriate for the riff, kind of. So let's say they have a riff that has like long notes and short notes. So I don't know, ta 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 ta, whatever. I'm just making something up. I may do something like this, ta 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 ta, something that looks like Morse code, kind of. I'll just do that just because I don't care about the numbers yet. I just care about the shape of the stuff. In my analysis of the Abysmal Eye, I kind of show you guys how I look at stuff before I make it all pretty and nice with the colors and all that. And that's mainly what's going on there. So if I see this kind of like a pattern like this, I'll try to see if I can seek out some special event happening. Let's say these 3 dots. That's like the first time I see this happening in the sequence that I wrote. I'll keep on listening and I don't know, ta 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 ta, whatever. I'll find some stuff, blah blah blah. And then I may find something like this happening, where, oh, suddenly, this is the first time that I see the 3 dots repeat. Which means that this will be the first opportunity for me to check, maybe this is like, maybe this 3 thing is something that I can focus on, and I can kind of like border the pattern using the 3. So like, I'm like, okay, I see the 3. And I go kind of like go backwards to see where the pattern stops matching each other, if this makes any sense. So if I go one backwards, I still see a long one. That's great. Then I see a dot. That's great. Then I see a long one. And now I already got to the beginning of the pattern. So I can assume maybe that this and this is the whole thing. This will be the sequence. Because once it starts again, the 3 is in the right spot. So now it can be easy for me to check if that's the sequence. And then I just basically assume that I'm right, not because I'm a genius, because I assume that I'm right, I do the calculations, and I check to see if it fits. So let's say this is whatever, X amount of notes. I listen to the song and see where the patterns, you know how the Meshuggah always have those jittery like cuts of the riffs? That's where the patterns usually just reset. So I look to see where that happens. I assume that what I found is right, just because I want to check. I check it, and then I see how much remainder I have. I listen to it again. I try to count it. If it doesn't fit, that means I got the pattern wrong. If it does fit, great. That's amazing. I can go on further. So that's basically what I did for this song, for I, where there's like a rumor that you can't really, there's no pattern and it's all random and all that. And that may be the case. I'm not saying that I'm going to necessarily find something, but I never analyzed the song. So I just, okay, I'll try to analyze it and I'll see, maybe I can find something that repeats, something that makes sense, whatever. Now, a pattern can have a few shapes. So if you're into Indian music, this is actually very, very interesting. Indian music has a very, very cool way of expressing those. It's called gatis, which is very, very cool because you have 6 versions. So you have like a pattern that just repeats itself in the same manner all the time. So let's say I have dot, 2 dots, so I have 3 dots, a line, 2 dots, a line. Let's say that is a pattern. So the first version would be this thing just repeats as is forever. Another version is a growing pattern. So let's say I have a dot in a line, and then 2 dots in a line, and then 3 dots in a line, and then 4 dots in a line. It's also a pattern, but it's a growing pattern. Another pattern could be a shrinking pattern. Same thing. 4 dots, for example, a line, 3 dots, a line, 2 dots, a line, 1 dot, a line. That's a shrinking pattern. There can be a totally random pattern that has no kind of like internal logic to it, if you will. It's just like totally random, which this song may be something like that. And the last one is that's the last one. The last one is just you can also have something that goes up and then down, or something that goes down and then up. That's also a pattern, like a shrinking. It starts by shrinking and then it augments. Augments? Is that even a word? Whatever. You get the point, though. These patterns, these are a bunch of just ways that patterns can appear. And Meshuggah use these a lot. For example, what's that song? Break Those Bones from Kolos. It has like a main pattern I think in 11 that loops a couple times. And then there's like a tail. And then you have that same main pattern in 11, and then the tail is a bit longer. And this becomes one sequence, kind of. So there's like an A, B, A, C thing, and that's one pattern. So they deal with really, really long patterns, and they're not all as easy as just repeating lines. So they really, really give me a hard time in the best way possible. Is there any cool questions here?
Someone asked what the dots and lines represent, but I think
yeah, okay. I hope it's clear what it represents. Anyway, so I think we're gonna let's start with the actual riffs of the song. There's like 5,000 riffs in the song, but some of them are easier than others. So the first thing I'll show you is this picture from I think it's from Frederick's Instagram, and it was posted at some point, and someone sent it to me, saying that this may have to do with the beginning of the song "I," and it actually does. So as you can see, he did the lines thing the same way that I did, and the pattern that you see is like this. The shorter lines are 4 notes, which are like if you listen to it through the drums, it's like 2 toms and 2 kick drums, and the longer lines are 6 notes, so 4 toms and 2 kick drums. So the beginning would be taga tuku taga tuku taga daga tuku. You can also just count it as like 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. So the beginning of the riff, 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. As you all know, that thing. And then these lines, as you can see here, there's like the 3 long lines. So these are going to be just like 3 of the longer in a row. Then there's like a few short ones, and then a few long ones, and all that. If you keep on reading, there's an open parenthesis here, which I'm like, oh, okay, that will probably mean something later. But then I went through the whole thing, and this doesn't mean anything. So we can just skip on further after this and just keep on reading. Now, we get to this long line with a 3. So you remember how I said earlier that the long lines are 4 toms and 2 kick drums? So this longer line with a 3 is the only longer line that is actually longer than all of them, which means that this, instead of being 4 toms and 2 kick drums, it's going to be 6 toms and 2 kick drums. So there's the short, very long would be tagatuku, tagatuku, tagadagatuku, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. And this is the only time this is happening. Going on forward, there's a number 7 here, just because there's a lot of long lines in a row. And instead of just visually going through it, he just wrote the number 7, so it's easier to count, I think. And then this is this is the funniest shit. There's the long lines here that also have a 7 and have this like thing here, but there's an arrow that goes from this section to this section. So when I saw the arrow, I was like, okay, I'll start by ignoring the arrow. Let's see if it works. And I ignored the arrow, and it doesn't work. And you actually just need to go through the arrow. So you need to do the long one, short, short, short. There's this arrow thing, and just skip all this. So this is not relevant anymore. We keep on reading. Then there's like 8 shorter ones. There's the rest that is just completely random. And there's the da at the end, which is, I guess it's some kind of reference to Indian music, though the H should be here and not here, whatever. But that's like the ending of that first section. So I was trying to find some pattern here. Something. Like there's something that will show me that there's some logic that happens here. And usually what I will do is, as I said before, I'll kind of like target myself to some special occasion that happens. And a special occasion, let's say, would be this 3. But this 3 doesn't happen anymore at all. And I was like, okay, maybe the 7, and it does happen. It says it happens twice, but they actually skip it. So this doesn't happen. Then there's the 8 short ones that never repeat. So I was like, okay, maybe it's some growing pattern, but I couldn't find nothing that makes sense. So this is the first riff. And I didn't find any logic to the first one. So I'll play it, and maybe I'll zoom in with the camera a bit, and I'll show you guys with my pen. Opa, here it is. I'll show you guys with my pen where in the song I am, and I wonder if there's going to be any latency or not. If there's going to be latency, which I assume it will be. I'm anyway going to upload this after. I'll just download the footage of everything and upload the whole thing edited, and then you'll see everything with all the counts. But here goes nothing. Let's try the first riff of I.
Here goes I.
Here we go. Damn. I messed up a bit crossing the lines, but I assume you get it. There's just nothing. There's nothing. I couldn't find anything to say about this riff. The riff, I wonder if there's any questions actually about this.
Give them a minute because they're still seeing the end. It now ended.
Ah, okay. So I'll wait a second to see if there's any questions about just the visual of that.
But there wasn't latency with the video and audio, so that's
There wasn't?
no.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll just go on. I'll keep on going on. If there's a question, tell me. Sababa. Okay, so for the next part of the song, the next part of the song is this thing, where I wait, not this one. which I don't think we should talk about because it's just basically that's it. So we can go to the next section, which is number 2. Okay. Okay, riff number 2. So for riff number 2, as you can see, it's delightful. All the pages and all the numbers. I'll explain all the numbers in a second. I'll make it look a little bit nicer. All right, now you can see everything. Yeah, that's great. Okay, this is riff number 2. Riff number 2 is this one. So it's the whatever, all that stuff. Okay, so now we actually get to we have vocals, we have like a groove, we have stuff, and the patterns are broken down in this. This is how I chose to break them down. All the top numbers, so this line and this line and this line and the bigger numbers, they're all the hits, number of hits that the band, like guitar, bass, and kick drum, are playing together. And the lower numbers that are mostly 1, but there's some like 2s scattered in the middle, are the rests between those. So you have like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, or like trun 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 1 2 trun 2 1. That's basically how I chose to write this. Now here as well, I was like, okay, let's see if I can find any pattern. Let's see if I can find something. So there's a lot of 3s and 1s and 4s and blah 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 blah. The first thing I saw is, you see the 4 1 4 and 4 1 4 here. They match, but then if I go backwards, this one has a 2, this one has a 3, so that's out. Then I noticed the 7 7 1 5 2 7 1 5 2 here as well. But then if I go back, this has a 2, this has a 1. If I go forward, it doesn't really match. There's this 8 that never comes back. Here as well, and here I think as well. There's a 1 6 happening, and that's it. That's the only time 6 is happening. There's a 7 1 and 5 2 thing happening again. So I was okay. Maybe there's something there, because if you go backwards, there's 1 and 1, then 2 and 4, 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 1, 1 and 4. So this can be like similar to this one. Actually, maybe it is. No, you see, this one has 4 and 1 rest, and this one has 4 and 2 rest. So it's like, okay, so it doesn't make any sense, kind of. I divided them because this whole section is the same pitch guitar-wise. So just like, and then once they switch from here to here, they go up a half step. I think it's a half step. Yoel will tell me if it's a half step. And if it's not a half step, it doesn't really matter. So basically, you see that there's 1 here and 3 here with no gap. So technically, it's 4 notes in a row, but they start with 1 pitch. So blam 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 blam. That's where they go up from. And that's basically it. So let's go here.
Someone asked if they play it live. If they play the song live.
So yeah, someone asked if they play the song live. I think they never played the song live, I think. Also, there's some interview with Thomas, where the guy actually asks him if they're gonna play it live at some point, and he said that he doesn't think so. And I mean, I understand why. He also said that no one really knows how I goes, which means that maybe there is no pattern that we can actually find and nothing to really latch onto, and it's all improvised by one of them. Maybe it's like just, they wanted that kind of intro, and just Thomas just got in and just played a minute and a half of or just that, and they transcribed it. Or I don't know, maybe they went with the maybe this thing came in before they recorded it. Maybe someone played and then this is the transcription of it, kind of. I don't know, but these are the numbers that I found. And yeah, let's listen to riff number 2. Ma, there's another thing?
Someone saying Thomas improvised it, and then they recorded on it. Someone else is saying that it was a jam cut and pasted together.
Okay, so a few people say that Thomas did improvise it. Some people say that it was a jam that is cut. This all makes total sense because it sounds like just riffs that you would kind of like improvise and record on the spot and then just manipulate. So either record over them, loop them, cut them, or something like that. Because I found nothing. I didn't find anything here as well. But let's see. This is riff number 2 of I. This fragile illusion, running away of structure, so what do you say? I to flesh, to page, to bleach and to energy, it's not about life. Why? These monumental clay, divine, and dying in their finest form. This verse, I will have last night, Messiah. Jesus, that was long. Also, I forgot to mention that this was the first time that something that indicates some kind of 4/4 is played. When we get to this part, this is the first section. This is the half step over, and then here it's when they go back a step down, and that other guitar joins. And that guitar is playing a line in 4. So that's the first time that a 4/4 is introduced, but this riff technically, maybe it mathematically works in 4/4, but there's nothing in this riff that indicates 4/4. The snare is just playing tuka 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 tuka, which can be kind of any meter, and the kick drum is playing these, and guitars and bass and everyone's playing these. So the 4/4 is only indicated by that guitar. That's the only 4/4 that's going on, but nothing is really supporting it on the 4/4 side. So it's kind of by itself there. So that's riff number 2. And again, I failed. I didn't find anything, which is probably not going to change anytime soon. Okay, riff number 3. Now, as you can see, for this riff, I wrote super basic notation of just low notes and high notes. Maybe I'll do this on the high notes so you can see the high notes. That's just because I just chose to transcribe this through the lens of the drums, kind of. So the low runs are the kick drum and the higher notes are the snare drums, but the guitar follow they follow the same structure. Obviously, they follow the same thing exactly. There's another. I think this is snare drum. And this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. So for this riff is I'll play it to you for a second, so you can hear it. This is number 3. So as you can hear, every time there's a snare, there is a high note on the guitar as well. Now, when I analyze like this, so in this way, I chose to use notation because it's not that they're using the previous two. It was kind of like very predictable, like puzzle pieces. They have in this riff number 2, they have 2 kind of pieces. One is like on and off, if you want, and it's this, and everything's the same length, so I can just count it with numbers, kind of. And same thing goes for this one, where the lengths of the stuff is predetermined, and they just repeat it, so it's easy to visualize it this way. But wait, should I just do a split? Oh, now I can see myself. Why should I see that? Never mind. With this one, because it's more of like a groove-oriented kind of thing that doesn't really repeat, and it uses the same kind of like building blocks of those fast 30-second notes, but sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 6, so it's very inconsistent in the length, kind of. So I just chose to do it in a notation way. And then same thing, I start writing quarter note by quarter note what I hear, and I always try to see if I can somehow look and find a new pattern. And then you see here that I transcribed this thing, I got to these 8th notes, and then I just kept on transcribing. I heard another 2 8th notes that are followed by another series of kick drums. So I was like, okay, maybe this is where the loop ends, and this is where it restarts. So I stopped here for a second, and I just kind of, again, I assume that I'm right, just so I can check it. So I go through the riff, and I assume it repeats here, and I just go back, and I just see if what I wrote makes sense again, and it did. So this is kind of like the beginning of the new cycle. This and this are the same. Now, before I play this to you, let's talk about this one. This is a different section where I think the vocals enter here, if I remember correctly. Let's just check 1 second. Riff number 3. This one is this section. And this one is this section. Okay, so there's no vocals, but there's the guitar that actually plays in 4/4, which is pretty cool because he's just playing long notes. 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. I think something like that. Something very like typical Meshuggah. But there's a nice thing to notice here. Anyway, this is, I think, the first time that maybe not. Maybe I'm just bluffing. Maybe I just want to be dramatic. So maybe it's not the first time. But this sequence is 16 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is just like a kind of just a straight 4/4 as you know, as a straight at 4/4 that Meshuggah can do, I guess. So this when this repeats, there's no remainder at the end because it's 16 beats. So it's 4 bars of 4/4 perfectly aligned, which is pretty cool. And this one, once they do introduce that 4/4 line on the top, this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, it's 31. Oh, Jesus. So this one is 31 beats, which is 1 beat short than 32, which is twice 16. So this, once this restarts, it's not gonna align again with the guitar playing the 4/4. And as you can see again, I started transcribing this, but realized that it's the same pattern right again. They repeat, go here. So this is I'll cross that off as well.
There's a question relevant to what you just said, I think.
Yeah, there's a question.
I don't think they can hear me too, right? I don't know. Even if the riff gets that long, how do you determine if it's like 4/4, if it's like 11/8? Like, how do you figure out?
Okay. So how do I determine if this riff is? So a few things. First of all, I'll listen to what's playing.
Wait, just repeat the question before.
Okay. Someone asked. Good. This is good. Someone asked, how do I, even if after I wrote the thing, how do I determine what the meter is? Maybe it's in 11, maybe it's in whatever. So there's a few things I'll say about that. First, I'm used to Meshuggah playing in 4, so I'll assume that it's 4/4 first, and then if I get to a point where I listen to the music and something contradicts the 4/4, so maybe it's not, which is fine, but I'll just go with my first assumption that it is 4/4. That's the first thing. Second thing is I listen to the music and see if there's any indication for something that is playing the 4/4. So is like in this section there's that guitar line that is playing the 4/4 on top, but here technically there's nothing. There's no backbeat, there's no like quarter note symbol that gives me the pulse or something. So in this case, technically I don't know that it's in 4/4, but this is so conveniently organized in 4/4 in 4/4 bars, like 16 beats, that I'm just gonna go with a hunch and say that it's 4/4. I can't really know. Besides, I mean, unless I just go and ask them, basically, because I can write this whole song in 5/8. I can write this whole song in 13/8. I can write the whole song in any time signature that I want. But my assumption is that it's in 4/4 just because I'm used to them playing in 4/4 and it fits so nicely. When it comes to this section, this is a more classic, like Meshuggah. Maybe I'll put this here. No, this is a more classic Meshuggah riff because it's an uneven number. It's 31 beats, but there's two things to notice. One is, there's the guitar playing that line on top, which kind of makes it. It's the for me those guitars are kind of like the deciding factor, because at the end the guitars don't get cut. The riff gets cut. The riff is going to repeat a few times, and then it's going to play a shorter version of itself, and then we're going to go over to the next riff. So for me that means that the 4/4 kind of won the match between the 4/4 and the 31 beat, because the 31 thing actually gets cut in the end, and the guitar playing the 4/4 doesn't get cut. So I can count 4/4 over everything, and it works. I'll land on beat 1 when they go to the next section. So that's basically how I decided for it to be a 4/4. Because if I wrote this in 7/8, at the end I'll have to probably squeeze in a bar that is some smaller bar, just to make it end nicely, which means that there's no reason for me to actually call it 7/8, if that makes any sense. Cool? Can I go forward? Yeah. So let's hear this. This is riff 3. And it goes like this. That was the first one. Now, something that I forgot to mention. Notice how they start and end with the same figure. So it's like 2 eighth notes, and then for like 30 seconds. And here's like the opposite. This thing, that the fact that it's these two are the same, makes it even more confusing. I'll play it again and I'll go straight to this one. But notice how it kind of sounds like it restarts here and then it restarts again. So just notice that. I'll play it again. then you move on to the next part. Now, if you noticed, they played this twice, which means they got to 62 beats. And in order to make it divide nicely with 4, they need to get to 64 beats. So they repeat the first 2 quarter notes, and then they restart again. And then the vocals come in, and they play this riff again. So that's riff number 3, which, again, I didn't find any smaller sequence that is happening, because you see, you have, I for this one, I kind of latched onto these to ke ke to ke ke ke. There's like 2 high notes and then 3 high notes in a row, and that never happens again. There's 3 high notes here, but there aren't any 2 here. So again, this is the third riff, and no, I didn't find anything here as well. Cool, let's go on. Yeah. Oh.
12, 40, 45% on in terms of pacing.
Ah, okay. Okay, this is riff number 4. Riff number 4 is this one. And this one is pretty straightforward. You just hear tam ta tam ta tam. You hear hits that everyone's playing, divided by they're separated by one kick drum. So ta 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 ta. There's always one kick drum that is dividing these numbers. So I just wrote the numbers to see if I can find anything. I started writing everything. Then there's that long note. This is a long note. You'll hear. I started writing stuff again. I thought that I found something that repeats, but it doesn't really. So I just found that from here, it goes back to the beginning. So this is the first time. And the second time is this, and it just goes straight here. It finishes this line. Again, I couldn't find anything interesting, so to speak. I thought, like, okay, there's this 4-3-2 thing that happens, and I saw it also here. So 4-3-2, but then there's this 3 that doesn't match. There's a 4 here, but it's 4-2-3, so it doesn't match as well. So I'm afraid this one I couldn't find anything for this one as well. Let's hear it. Again, this thing repeats after like the equivalent of I think 8 bars of 4/4, but there's nothing really indicating. Nothing is really playing something that indicates 4/4. It's only the math that keeps it in 4/4. But the fact that we were in 4/4 before is enough for me to say, okay, let's keep it in 4/4 till I hear something that clearly tells me otherwise, which I didn't. So I still assume this is in 4/4. Yeah, so this is riff number 4. Riff number 5 is that section here, that crazy section, which there isn't too much to talk about because it's just that 4/3 thing going on, and it goes on for like ever, and there's not too much to talk about, so we'll skip ahead to riff number 6.
Yogev, there was a question about 3.2. Someone asked if the second part of 3.2 is it the beginning of 3.1?
Okay, so someone asked if the second part of 3.2 is the beginning of 3.1. His answer is yes. I think they do this twice twice. They do the remainder, and then they go back to this with vocals or something like that. But it's they go back to this one. Yes, I forgot to mention it. That's true. Okay, riff number 6 is this one. After the long break, this is riff number 6. So here it's very clear. You have these high notes that are all. I mean, the pattern starts with like 4 muted notes with the kick drum, and each number is separated by that amount. So let's say I can kind of call every piece of this puzzle one quarter note. So one of them would be those 4 fast notes, and the high ones are the ones that vary, because between each one of these numbers, you have those 4 kick drum hits. So we can just basically count the top ones, because they're all divided by one pattern of 4 hits. I circled this one because this is a new section, kind of. There's like a fill happening here, and this is a new section. But again, it's a bunch of, just like, as you can see, 1s and 2s and 3s that I simply couldn't find any pattern. There's some patterns that repeat, like 1 2 1 2 2 1 3. Happens here again twice, 3 times. Sorry, happens here again and here again. At the beginning, I thought maybe there's some like palindrome thing going on. Maybe you can read it the same way from here and from here, but that's not the case. I thought that maybe there's some like augmentation pattern going on, where you do 2 of these, something else, then 2 of these, and I just couldn't find anything. So this is the 6th riff where I couldn't find anything. It's kind of a fail.
People are interested to know.
There's a question.
How slow do you slow down the song to count these numbers? I already told them that you speed it up to 102%.
Okay, so someone asked, how slow do I slow these down in order to hear this? And Yoel answered incorrectly that I actually speed it up just for the challenge, and he said 102%. I just double it just to save time, no. But the answer is I actually don't slow stuff down. This is actually a pretty embarrassing story. I used to live with a guy called Lior Roseri, and he's in the chat.
Yeah, he's watching.
I don't like Lior Roseri at all. He's one of the worst people, and he's the bass player that you see very often in the channel. And we used to live together, and I transcribed a Venetian Snares drum track thing, and it's very, very fast. And at some point, I just asked him to give me whatever software he uses to slow down songs. And then he just started vibing me. It's like, okay, I didn't know you need to slow stuff down. I thought you were like good enough to do it with the tempo. But if you need it, I'll give it to you. And he sends me the link, and he's being all nice, and he's like, no. I just didn't think you'd need it. But if you do, of course I'll help you. And I'm like, I hate you, and I'm not gonna use it just because. So I didn't use anything to slow that thing down, and it kind of like stuck. I rarely slow stuff down. And especially with Meshuggah, I kind of just did these analyses enough to kind of know what to expect. So I'm with my finger on the space bar, just putting like play, stop, and I do it like very small chunks at a time. So I don't really slow stuff down, because sometimes it warps the audio and you can't really hear it well. And it's not. I got to a point where I'm comfortable with this enough to not have to, kind of. Though there are songs that I did, but not Meshuggah songs, but there are other songs that I did slow them down. I mean, okay. So this is riff number 6, and it goes like this. Remember, I'm gonna be counting the high hits, and between each hit, there's 4 16 notes, muted guitar and kick drum. So I'll just count the high ones, and yeah. Um, yeah. Again, there's nothing that I can say here. A guitar line, a guitar was added, technically playing a line in 4/4. It was playing like that for like 4 bars or 8 bars, and then after 8 bars, switching to a different note, 8 bars of 4/4, and then after I think 16 bars, somewhere here, vocals came in, but still. So sure, I'll write it in 4/4 because it's the most comfortable thing. We came from 4/4, and if I had to write this down, I'll write it in 4/4. But except for that guitar line and except for some hits, there's some crashes that indicate 4/4, but it doesn't groove like 4/4. So yeah, this is riff number 6, and still no pattern to be found. And I think I just go further. Is there anything else?
Someone's asking, did the tempo nudge up slightly in the final third before Jens came in?
So as for tempos, I try to like beat map the thing just so I can add a metronome to it to see if it helps, which it didn't. But I wonder if it's even recorded to a click, because every click that I beat mapped didn't really make any sense. So I just wonder if it. I would go out on a limb and say it's not recorded to a click, but I'm not sure. So it may have sped up a bit. Yeah, that may be the case. So riff number 7 is this one. So this one is actually pretty straightforward. So there's nothing really to talk about. It's just so it's kind of there's no group in it that I found. I think even if we go on, it's just like a super heavy headbanging section, and then we get to riff 8, which is this riff. So again, wait a second. Okay, so this riff, you also see there's highs and lows. This follows the guitar and not the snare drum. So this may be a bit confusing, but this whole thing, the lower notes follow the low notes on the guitar, and the higher notes follow the high notes on the guitar. The snare drum plays stuff in between, and it's not really consistent, so I just chose to ignore it for here. And as you can see, there's just a ton of notes without any. It doesn't seem like anything repeat. Maybe there is. It's so tightly, like it's so similar. You'll hear it, and I'll show you. It's so similar, and it just doesn't make. I couldn't find anything that repeats. I saw these 3 eighth notes in a row, 3 low ones, and I tried to look for something like that. I found this, but it has 4, and then I just couldn't find, I think, 3 in a row. Here, there's 4 in a row here, but they don't continue the same way this one does. So again, I didn't find any pattern here, though in this one, maybe I missed it because this is kind of a super dense and very, very like similar patterns. So maybe I missed something. Yeah, this is my guess for riff 8, and let's just hear it. I messed up a bit, but you'll forgive me. Anyway, I just couldn't find any pattern in this one. Is there any question?
I mean, they're a little sad about riff 7. There was nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah, people are sad about riff 7.
And what about riff 5? What time signature is it? with that snare providing the constant backbeat.
So the riff. Someone is asking what the time signature is in riff 5, which is one of the riffs that I skipped. It's this one. I'll play it for a second. This is riff 5. Technically, the drums are playing. If I count it very slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just playing a group of 3 forever for like a very, very, very long time. The time signature here is still 4/4. The sections move, like the solo starts and within a like very, very predictable amount of 4/4 bars it ends. So like 16 bars of 4/4 or 8, I don't remember. It ends and the next section comes in. So it's still very, very much organized in 4/4. I think that this whole song is in 4/4, like most of Meshuggah's songs. There's very, very, very little songs that they have like bars of not of 4/4. Maybe they use 12/8, but that's the same thing with triplets, whatever. But I think this whole song is in 4/4. Everything's in 4/4. It's just they're able to manipulate it enough for it not to sound like it at all. But they do give hints and clues for the 4/4. So if you listen to like crashes, there's a lot of crashes that just seem to like come out of nowhere, but they don't really come out of nowhere. They kind of indicate 4/4 bars. So every 8 bars he'll give a crash, and then it just sounds like it's just, you know, and then there's like some crash, and she's like, okay, I guess that's a 1 somehow. So that's the answer for riff number 5. Riff number 9, I think it's the same as riff number 8, if I'm not mistaken. So this is riff number 8, this thing. And I think riff number 9 is the same thing. But only with a guitar solo. So we can skip this one as well. And another
Question, Yogev.
there's a question.
The Tuggy Bear asks, do you have any tutorials on your channel on how to count these out? I struggle to comprehend counting music I haven't listened to much.
Okay, so someone asks if there's any tutorial for how to count these. There isn't that I know of. The only thing I would recommend is just listening to. The more you listen to something, the more you get used to it, and just try to analyze stuff. So if it's specifically Meshuggah you're talking about, I can obviously just super plug my channel, watch my channel. I dissect a bunch of Meshuggah stuff, and maybe it will get you into the pattern of knowing what to look for. 'Cause that's basically, for me, is the key for a lot of things. So if you just came to me and said, there's this Meshuggah song that I don't know what's going on there. Once you said Meshuggah, there's a bunch of assumptions that I take for granted. I kind of assume it's going to be in 4/4. I assume the snare is going to be there on beats like 2 and 4. Probably the China or hi-hat or crash is going to give me a quarter note pulse. I know what to look for. If you come to me and tell me, I have this, I don't know, ancient Bulgarian song that I don't know what's going on in it, I'll probably assume that it's not in 4/4. It's probably in 9 or 11 or in 13. It's probably fast. It's probably not in groupings, just because I've been exposed to those things enough to realize that more often than not, that's the case. So the more you listen to something, the more you kind of get the feel of it and the drive of it, and you can dissect these things. But there's a bunch of, basically just a bunch of videos that are available for free online on YouTube, including like stuff in my channel, that I just do these a lot. The more you do these, the more it gets easier to do, basically. Okay. Next riff. Riff number 10. Okay. Riff number 10 is this one. And this one is very, very weird because the rest are like just MTV music. But this one is very, very weird because of the pitch. The pitch of the guitar, there's somewhere, I think over here or over here somewhere, they just chromatically go up, and it just kind of sounds like a motorcycle speeding on the highway. It's pretty, pretty weird. Here, as you can see, there's only low notes. I only wrote one line of notes, and I just wrote the guitars and the kick drum. The snare does some stuff, but again, it's not consistent and it's not in unison with the guitars. So I just wrote the main riff out, and again, I couldn't find any pattern that goes on, that any smaller pattern that repeats itself. What I did want to say is, if anyone wants to try and find patterns, send me an email or comment or something, and I'll just send you pictures of these. Do whatever you want with them. If you can find something, let me know, and that would be great, because I couldn't. But that could be a cool thing that if any of you guys want. So, in this section, there's another guitar line playing a high voice in 4/4. Hear that? That thing? That's in 4/4, but again, it's a melodic line and it's so weak, so you can't really feel the song through it. Though you get used to that feeling if you listen to Meshuggah a lot, and I just started kind of latching on to those higher 4/4 like lines, which just makes the songs pretty cool.
I think maybe people lost sound of the Meshuggah. Maybe just make sure that it's,
Oh,
I'm not sure.
someone said that people lost sound of the audio. Let me know if you hear it now. And I guess we just wait for the lag to see if people hear it. How are you doing, Yoel?
And they're asking also if you can post the pictures somewhere.
Yeah, I'll post the pictures somewhere. I don't know where. I'll post the pictures somewhere. I'll figure something out. But I'm just waiting for people to confirm that you hear stuff.
I can hear it.
You can hear it? Okay. Okay, so here's riff number 10. We're getting close to the ending. There's like 2 more riffs, I think, and that's it. But this is riff number 10, and here's riff number 10. Jesus. Yeah. Another failed riff where I couldn't find any logic to explain, rhythmic logic, which is probably what makes the song cool, I guess. Yeah, you heard everything, Yoel? You heard everything?
Yeah. Aiden thinks there's a dot missing on the first single 8th note on the last line of 10 after the 16th note rest.
Okay, Aiden thinks there's a dot missing in the first... Where?
First single 8th note on the last line after the 16th rest. Last line right after the 16th rest of 10. Not 10.
Maybe. I mean, there's no, the only 16th rest is this one, but there is a dot here. So maybe it's that dot.
10, not 10.1, yeah?
10. There's a dot missing. Ah, wow, how did you catch that? Yo! You're right. Wow, Aiden, you win anything you want. Wow, that was amazing. Okay, done with that one. I keep on failing miserably. This is riff 11, which is the one that sounds like Rational Gaze, kind of. It's a bunch of like doubled notes, tagam, tagam, tagam. So instead of writing all the double stuff, I just wrote where they start, because in 99% of the cases they either start on the downbeat or on the upbeat, like 8th note upbeat. So like tum dum gum tum tum gum tum tum, which technically it's tagam 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 tagam. Usually they start either on a downbeat or an upbeat. Occasionally they start like there's one that starts on the second 16th note, so like tum tum tkadam tpabam. So this one's kind of it repeats a few times here and here and here. But yeah, again, no pattern that I could. I just okay for this. I try to find the consecutive quarter notes. So here there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I was like, okay, maybe there's gonna be another 7 somewhere. Here there's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, okay, that doesn't help me. But I thought maybe it can be this is the 7 and then it restarts again, kind of. So you know what I mean? This would be the end of the riff, maybe. And then it starts again, and then it would hit that 7 again, but it just doesn't work. And then there's like 11, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So again, this riff I couldn't find anything that repeats. Yeah, so let's hear riff number 11. Yeah, and then we just get to a new riff, and again, I couldn't find anything. You did hear the guitar playing again, a line in 4/4, and you saw me maybe accent with my hands here, and there's some other place. I think when they go to this section, these are all, if you count, this is like, I don't know, 16 or 8 bars of 4/4, you get here, and then another 8 you get here. But again, it's only math that I'm talking about. And then we get to riff 12. Is there any questions for riff 12?
No, but I thought it was worth mentioning that people are talking about Frederick getting a haircut in this tour.
Okay. People are talking about Frederick getting a haircut. So I saw the pictures. First of all, they all have, I don't know if you've seen, but they all have like beards, like amazing beards. Okay, totally Viking beards. And I'm gonna I hope to try maybe to look like have like the Jens look with like a big beard and bald. Let's see if it works. But yeah, I saw the haircuts. Okay, this is the last page for this live stream. Again, riff 12 is the same concept as before, same idea exactly. Okay, so let's just go on and listen to riff 12, which is the same idea. It's the same double notes. This is the starting point for each one of the double notes. This is riff 12. I messed this up. I can't believe I messed this up. But anyway, again, same kind of thing. Couldn't find any pattern. There's like this thing that repeats that I thought maybe would make sense, but it doesn't repeat again. And yeah, I just again couldn't find anything to actually say about it, instead of it being totally random. My guess is that this whole song is like a phone number or like a social security number or like something that they transcribed and made it like something like that, because I really can't find anything about it. Yeah. And also, before we finish, I'll say the reason that I'm showing this to you all, with these scratches off and all with a pen and not nice with all like these, all nice and colorful, is because this is how I kind of do it when I analyze the stuff. And once I actually figure out something, that's where I present it nicely. But I couldn't find anything, so I'm not going to present it nicely. This is riff 13. Again, same idea exactly. And I'll stop before 13.1 just because. This is riff 13. Wait, is there any questions?
About 12, someone's saying it's random, but maybe there's some wonky pulse to it. No?
Someone asked about riff 12. It says it's random, but there's a wonky pulse to it, which I mean, I guess you can kind of say that about about all about the whole song. Yeah, they all groove in a way, but I just can't find any. With other Meshuggah stuff, I can find sequences, I can find something, but here I just can't, and it's not. You never get like a 2 and 4 steady groove going on, so yeah, it's wonky pulse, maybe the best way to put it. So this is riff 13. And then we get to riff 13.1, which is the ending, the outro of the song. This riff. You can hear the guitar on top playing something like that. That's in 4/4. So there's that. I do think in one of the riffs, I forgot to mention it, and that's very bad. There's one riff, after I finish this one, I'll try to find which one it is, that has a soaring guitar line that is not in 4. It has one is like, I think it's in 11. It's like 5/6, 5/6, 5/6, something like that. I'll go back and try and find it after. But this is the outro riff of the song, and this is the only thing that I found that repeats perfectly. So maybe we have a winner, but this whole riff, as is, repeats 5 times. That's the end of the song. This whole riff is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. This whole riff is 40 quarter notes long, kind of, and this whole thing repeats 5 times, and then we end on this long note here. So maybe I play a couple times, maybe not the whole thing, but this is the last riff of I. It goes on for 2 more times. It ends on this thing. So technically, I guess I am a failure. I couldn't find anything worth No, not worth. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything that loops, any sequence, any something for this song, which is very, very, very annoying for me. But I guess maybe it is random because that's the rumor says that it's random. Maybe that's true. I'll do a quick run by the song. Just 1 second. No, it's not this. There's one riff that has that guitar line I told you that is not in 4.
I think we can't hear you when it's that scene of camera plus table.
Aha. Okay, so maybe people can hear me now, probably. Okay, you can hear now. Okay. This is riff 2.3. Which was, where is it? It's this. This thing. Here, there's a line in 11. The guitar plays so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Listen to this. So it's not 5 6 5 6. It's 5 5 5 7. Sorry, and that comes up to how much? 5 5 5 7. That's 10. That's 15. That's 22. So it's an 11, and this is the only part in the song where I can say that I hear something that is in a different loop, kind of. So I guess we're done. Is there any question?
I have some general questions, like unrelated to the.
Okay. So let's officially finish it.
Yeah, there's one question about riff 5.
Okay, riff 5.
Did we skip the random kick pattern in the variation of riff 5?
Okay. Someone is asking about riff 5, the riff that I skipped. There is a variation there. I'll play it for a second. Riff 5 is that mess thing. It sounds lovely. And there's this section in that song. And the truth about this section is that I kind of just forgot to write it down. But again, in this one, I again, it's kind of short. That's it. That's the whole section, and I couldn't really find any variation for it. But yeah, you're right. I just forgot to write it down, and it's kind of short anyway, so it doesn't really. Yeah, there's nothing there as well that I could find. Anything else?
Maybe switch to the camera to your front so they can see it.
Okay.
Amit Plashkes found the pattern.
Amit Plashkes found the pattern. I have no idea who Amit Plashkes is, and I don't believe this guy. Where did he find?
He said you can put the song on repeat and then it's one.
Okay. Amit Plashkes, by the way, if you don't know, is the guitar player of the epic band Distorted Harmony, which I am the drummer for, and he is also the guitar player for Joel. And Amit also plays there. Amit is the most metal person I've ever met in my life, I think. And he said that he did find a pattern that if you put the song on repeat, it repeats exactly the same the second time you repeat it. That is amazing, I have to say. Anything else we should finish with? There's some general questions. So that was my attempt of doing I. I failed, and I was amazing, the song. But yeah, as you can see, I couldn't find anything to say about it. I mean, there's a lot to say about it, but not. I couldn't find any sequence that. So yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. There are some questions that are just general. So yeah, let's just do them now, I guess.
DJ Ban is asking, what would be the reason for you to write something down in numbers to represent the pattern versus using the staff and rest notes?
Okay, so someone writes, what's the reason to choose between writing in numbers or to choose between writing in notation. I guess it just kind of has to do with the nature of the riff, maybe. So this riff, for example, riff number 6, has that that thing. It's just easier for me to count it as 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, kind of like that, because they're all the same length notation-wise. So it's just more comfortable to see it this way for me at this point, I guess. And the final riff, I wrote it down like this. I guess just because it was slow enough so I can kind of like write it as I hear it, almost. So I wrote it this way instead of just waiting for, I don't know, for like 7 hits and counting it and then writing 7. I just write. I hear a hit. I write it, and it's slow enough for me to do it that way. So maybe that's why I did it. There's no real reason, I guess, but I think the fact that I'm comfortable with both makes it just easier to like think what's more appropriate. There are some riffs like this one. What is it? 10? That writing it in numbers wouldn't make sense to me as much because it's a rhythmic pattern that has very, very small variations. It will just be a bunch of 3s and 2s. And a bunch of 3s and 2s, and this is kind of like interchangeable for me. So I just, I don't know. I just chose that. I hope that answers the question.
What's your favorite all-time Meshuggah tune?
Why? What's my favorite all-time Meshuggah tune? I don't know. I do not look down, and Marrow would be up there. Dancers also. And I feel like I'm gonna start just naming all of those other songs as well. So, but those are my top. But I'm kind of, maybe I shouldn't say this because people will hate me if I say this. But I love the more they do stuff, I love it more. So I really like Obzen. I love basically I love all the stuff. But I'm not like one of the people that likes their older stuff and that's it. I prefer a bunch of their older stuff on Destroy, Erase, Improve, for example. I love Soulburn and all that stuff, obviously, but I prefer Obzen and Kolos and Violent Sleep of Reason and all of that over the more trashy stuff. But as for favorite song, man, that's what's your favorite song? I don't know. It's too hard. I'm not gonna answer that. I have no idea. I don't know.
Oh, cool. Favorite album then, maybe? Favorite LP?
Favorite album. So it depends how we call it favorite, because there's one album that I like all the songs in, which would probably be Chaosphere. Interestingly enough, I love all the songs in Chaosphere, but I really like all the songs in Chaosphere. So for example, like in Obzen, there's probably 1 or 2 songs that I'm like, whatever. This new and Immutable as well. Immutable is amazing in my opinion, but there's always the 1 or 2 songs that I'm not as excited about. But Chaosphere has none of them. I think Chaosphere is the only one that has. I like all the songs, but it doesn't feel like my favorite album. I don't know, but that would be the answer for that one, I think. Cool. Okay, so we'll do one last question and then we'll let everyone go about their day. What's the question? Choose one last question.
אתה רוצה משהו טכני או משהו מצחיק?
מצחיק.
Do you ever run out of paper while analyzing something?
Someone asked if I ever run out of paper when I analyze something. That is actually not a funny question at all, because I did a few videos back. I think the one with the 5 and the 7 with Ron Minis song. I just brought up, I filmed it in his house. I brought a bunch of notebooks and I did run out of paper, and I think I just like scored the last one and I had to make it fit in one page because I just literally didn't have any more paper. But also, there's a few people that comment on my channel. I don't know if I showed you this yet, that say they're like, aren't you like wasting too much paper and it's not good for the environment kind of thing? And it's like, first of all, I mean, seriously, I have finished 2 notebooks since I started. This is episode like 65 or something like that, and I finished 2 whole notebooks, which is in like 2 years. So no, I don't think I'm wasting too much paper, and I pretty much use all the stuff again in all the videos and all that kind of stuff. Blah blah blah. Anyway, thank you very much for joining the live stream. I will upload this an edited version of this, and I will upload the pictures of all the stuff that I came up with if anyone wants to take a look at it. I want to again say huge thanks to both Yoel, this guy. Oh yeah, Yoel is aka Shwesmo. We actually covered a few of his tracks in the Tihai episode, in the 3/4 episode, and in future episodes that we're gonna do. You should go check Shwesmo on Spotify. He has amazing, like super advanced electronic music. Very, very, very cool. I play on some of his stuff. I want to also say thanks to Sharon, who is not here anymore, but she was here before. I'm using her computer because mine kind of collapsed during when we tested these things. So I'm using her mega giant, super awesome computer. So thank you very much, Sharon, for that. Follow me on YouTube. I do a bunch of these rhythmic analysis videos that are gonna be uploading weekly. This is the last Meshuggah video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this last month of content that was full of Meshuggah stuff. If you didn't enjoy it, that's your problem. But this new album is amazing. I really, really, really liked this new album. And I guess I'll see you guys around. Thank you very much for watching and tuning in. And I'll see you guys later. Now I need to find how to shut this off without being embarrassing. End stream. Boom. Bye.